Jesus Christ! That's not something I usually say to anything about anybody. That's not my favorite swearing word, and well, let's put it this way, I'm way more profane than that. But that is exactly how I want to start this review, because what we have here is Necros Christos from Germany, and this is the album, or actually triarchy of albums that is to conclude their career. Now, this band has always been a little different, kind of a unique thing, because they don't approach their music, their death metal music, in a typical death metal way. Now, this third album might be even more strange or unique thing than the ones before this one, and there are lots of reasons. But first of all, let's take a look how this one looks like. So what we have here is Domedon Doxomedon. I don't have an idea how is that supposed to be pronounced, so just forgive me being bad at Jewish language. Now, why I mention Jewish is the thing that this album or band is more or less related to Jewish mythology, theology, whatever occult there might have been. And that is way too deep a topic to basically go through. So what I'm trying to show you here is a small box of 3 CDs here. So you can see that's the whole thing here. It's a triple album to conclude the era of the band, and then what you can see here is the albums in their own slip cases, and they're all almost similar, in design, except for the details, obviously. As you can see, all the crosses are atypical to death metal, having the crosses, the Christian way here, and that is one of the topics which make this band so strange in a way, because it's not like this is the German D-side, where it would be all about blasphemy and, having crosses inverted and all that stuff, but very much into, like I said, Jewish things, Gnosticism and theological issues and whatever. This is very interesting, very atypical band in so many ways, and won't make sense if I start to go through here, because first of all, I don't claim to understand the world of Necros Christos too much, because lengthy lyrics and a very different type of idea of world, God, Jesus Christ and all that stuff. This is not, like I said, a D-side or the way of black metal bands going through the whole idea. But just, very different kind of breed, except for the music, which then again is something that it seems to appeal to many black metalers there, even though this is kind of a very traditional death metal in so many ways, yet kind of a more challenging, if not in the technical sense, but the song structure and all that. Now, since that was the beginning, I could say I don't know where to begin from, because Necros Christos has done interesting death metal music, not maybe the best one out there, not at least in my opinion, but this kind of atypical way they are approaching traditional death metal with atypical topics and all that, it's kind of like overwhelming, too much, too soon, and now it's triple album. That would take a whole interview to go through, and even so, that would be probably just, getting the cover just, scratched, not to mention to go deeper. So, we're gonna talk about the music that lies within, and the rest is for you to figure out or Google up or whatever. And let's just hope one day we will get a Necros Christos interview for Rauta as well. Now, musically, this is absolutely nothing when it comes to black metal. It's pure death metal, maybe with some hints towards kind of a classic thrash heavy metal or even kind of a doom thing, but that is up for debate. I mean, the tempo is not fast, it's kind of a mid-tempo, even slow at some parts, so surely there are some doom death kind of approach. And also some riffs are more old school oriented, so one might have these kind of a, say, slight flavors of thrash metal and heavy metal, but not in a plain way, not in that way that they are kind of a, on the front, doing the biggest main layer here of the music. This is very much on the traditional 1990s death metal, but with more, I don't want to say technical, but more kind of a experimental and maybe a little bit progressive side. So this is able to remind me of Morbid Angel because there are some similarities, and even though these bands just sound different from each other. Now, all these elements, when they are made into three different albums, which have, I think, in a way their own path or soul or core, and being this big package of theologic items, and then these strange, hard to approach guitar riffs, they all become this one big whole, kind of a mystery. Now, if I start to analyze this kind of like piece by piece, it would take way too long, so I try to do it in a briefing way. And that is not easy for the reasons I mentioned. However, there are lots of familiar elements with Necros Christos, why it might appeal to old school death metal heads. That is, the ones that have been listening to like late 80s or early 90s stuff. This is not too far from that. Yet this is very much of the modern age without maybe the modern age of production. Now all these ideas are, kind of made into this brew that Necros Christos is just, serving to the audience. And while it's, at some ways, it's way more interesting than 99% of other bands, for me it kind of fails to deliver the message, through. It's like an atheist, reading a religious book. That is exactly what I'm feeling here. I kind of get these, ideas what the band is trying to deliver both musically and ideologically or religiously. Can I say that? And yet again, I kind of feel that it's way too far from me. And that makes me even harder to understand why this appeals to so many black metal heads there who are normally kind of allergic to death metal. Because after all, there are so many bands on death metal fields, which are more easy to appeal. And I'm not talking about the lyrical side, which might be repulsive or weird or just uninteresting to so many black souls out there, but just when talking about the riffs and music, this kind of a death metal, what Necros Christos are doing, at the same time it can be really intriguing, but also kind of a death metal that is not very easy to be enjoyed if one is not very deep into death metal. Even I, who have been listening to death metal longer than black metal, I kind of find these songs a little hard to get too much enthusiastic about. And the reason might be I've never been too much into incantations and immolations style of music, and this reminds me of them as well a little bit. The kind of a sinister vibe and the kind of a aspect they are dealing with here. It's just lacking the aggressiveness and trying to kind of have a different kind of angle, which I don't find very appealing. And when I compare this to one, say, more technical and more progressive death metal bands, it seems like these guys are running out of bullets, and not in totally in a positive way, not in a negative way either, but lacking in that sense. So it's kind of the type of death metal which is a little bit there, a little bit here, and definitely somewhere there. And when I go to the extremes of these triangle angles, I don't find Necros Christos going, any angle, like I'm talking the music side only, not the theological or whatever side. I don't find them going to these corners like deep enough. Like when I want to go extreme end of, say, technicality and progressiveness, I go way farther than what Necros Christos is doing. Then again, also when it goes to this kind of doom death, kind of slow tempo, progressiveness or weirdness in a way, I also find them kind of lacking that angle here. So maybe, in my opinion, it's kind of a compromise, and yet at the same time they're doing their own stuff, which is kind of something for acquired taste only. So, talking on my behalf, I find this album appealing and enchanting, and yet at the same time it leaves me a little bit distant. However, people who have been enjoying Necros Christos before, live or otherwise, should definitely check, and probably have already done with this album, because this is kind of the definite edition. But I would be lying, I would be not honest if I would be totally flagging for greatness and goodness when it comes to this album, because this is something, like I said, that is for acquired taste only. That is not even meant to be like a mainstream death metal edition for just everybody going for the sing-along songs in the D-side era, or I don't know, Morbid Angel style of unique death metal darkness and whatever. Not to mention the kind of a traditional style of corpses and whatnot. I mean, you can go as far as like Origin and the other bands going to the ultra technical and ultra fast paced brutality, or you can go the slow paced, very simple, boneheaded stuff. And Necros Christos won't be there for you. It's like a different train station. It's like on that train station in a place you never go. And that might be the reason. You don't need to. But once you go there, you just might find a new place. I'm not gonna say relax or meditate, but to go deeper into these themes that this band is having at their very core. So, an acquired taste death metal. That is as much as I can say about this one. Beautiful box, and even more so on vinyl, what I've been told. So, this is something that, if you like the music, don't settle with streaming services. Get it yourself a physical copy, because that will be one of those jewels in your record collection. And if, on the other hand, you don't find Necros Christos music appealing, I don't know any set of words that's gonna change your mind. They are doing what they are doing, or at least they were doing up to this point, and I don't think any album will change that if it hasn't changed that yet so far. Necros Christos is going to say bye-bye on the discography side, but they will be doing gigs, or at least that's what I've been told. So while you still have the chance, go to check out live. They are good in what they do, and I am probably the one liking them more live than on albums, but go check them out live, give their album a chance, and who knows, maybe you will end up liking them more than I can possibly do. Thank you for watching the review, and should you have any questions, opinions, or whatnot, drop them in the comment box below, and see you soon with more Rauta stuff coming your way.